Plagued Moth is a YouTuber that, over the coming years, has amassed hundreds of thousands of subscribers. This is due to the controversial content that an average person would find disturbing or downright reprehensible. These videos being his reaction commentaries on gore and other revolting content bordering on illegality that he watches so you don't have to. When he's not making videos, however, he spends his time making music and talking to his fans on Twitter. In today's video, we're going to be looking at some of the cringiest, weirdest, and downright deplorable things that Plagued Moth has gotten himself into. So prepare yourself as we go down the rabbit hole and uncover YouTube's most disturbing channel. Starting off, Plagued Moth's content. His content, in my opinion, is barely watchable, whether that being his editing, audio quality, hell, even the camera resolution itself is just plain bad, as well as the type of content that he likes to cover, but we'll get onto that soon. What you may be surprised to hear, however, is that Plagued Moth is a commentary YouTuber, and please just take that with heavy quotation marks because it barely reaches the standard for commentary videos, and that's saying something. From giving his takes on Amaranth, why the Hogwarts Legacy game is apparently anti-trans, and why he hates the LGBTQ+ community. Straying away from his videos, the Plagued Moth Reddit account is certainly a sight to behold. Here, you will find the most intellectual discussions ever debated by men.
I literally don't care, hypocrite. Lol, just made 10k. What are you doing? Alright, Reddit. See you in 10 years. Oh.
Yes, a 400,000 subscriber YouTuber is fighting with a random gore enthusiast Redditor about how shit his videos are, with his only defense being, I make more money than you, despite the fact that he can't even hold a Patreon for more than a week and has to resort to e-begging for money. I mean, with the topics that he chooses to make videos on, why wouldn't YouTube demonetize his channel? Both sides have a clear rule against gore and gore reactions. This is why Plagued Moth has been terminated multiple times on Patreon, with him labeling himself as the gore god, the hurter of feelings, and the most disturbing channel on YouTube. You might think that the videos he makes come off as if he's glorifying these subject matters, but what exactly are they? Plagued Moth certainly does live up to the moniker of the most disturbing channel on YouTube. Some of his more popular videos covering the tragic suicide of Ronnie McNutt, another one being a not safe for life iceberg, and a video discussing a child gore mixtape named Amber Alert. It's quite clear that Plagued Moth's bar as to what's ethical to make a video on isn't very high, which is very evident with this video about Shorby. For context, Shorby, or Schwab Aslam, was a boy who lived in the USA. Not much is known about him apart from being a catalyst for a conspiracy surrounding Reiko's fanboy cult. If you want to know more about that, I'd recommend watching Turkey Tom's video about it. Besides the point, Shorby didn't come into Plagued Moth's radar due to his alleged involvement with Reiko. Instead, it's because on March 14th, 2018, Shorby went live on YouTube and took his own life, with the thumbnail of Plagued Moth's video showing Shorby mere moments before he pulled the trigger. On the surface level, Plagued Moth's video about Shorby seems like it may be a harmless but insensitive video trying to educate people on the dangers of internet or suicide awareness. My main critique against this video, well, you know, apart from the thumbnail, is Plagued Moth's decision to clip part of Shorby's livestream where his mother finds him and proceeds to call the police. I will obviously not be showing that here because that would make me just as bad as him. I don't really recommend that you go out your way to watch this video, but it's your choice. This video about Shorby, however, isn't the only time he's used gore and gore mixtapes to fuel his insatiable appetite for content, with him titling one video the funniest gore mixtape, giving his Jinx level reactions to some of the most disgusting videos on the internet.
Pulls her down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. God damn.
One of the most common defenses that Plagued Moth and his fans use to justify his exploitation of the dead is, the news does it, so why can't I?
Regardless of your moral compass and how it makes you feel, it's harmless. All news media, true crime media, video games, and even some books and music all in some shape or form exploit death. This virtue signal is among the weakest used against myself and other content creators that cover this type of content, in hopes to brigade morally.
I know there's going to be a lot of angry Plagued Moth stands or just mouth breathers that don't see an issue with this argument, so let me just destroy you with the facts and logic. Obviously, due to the controversial nature of Plagued Moth's content, he has been called out on different occasions for the exploitative stamp that his videos have. However, these people calling him out didn't have much of any platform, considering these critiques took place on Reddit and Kiwi Farm. As stated earlier, one of Moth's excuses for uploading these videos is that the news does it, so why can't he? This is probably one of the more tame excuses, but I'll quickly shut it down. The news has never used gore mixtapes, or anything like that to garner a reaction. Reacting to gore gives absolutely no journalistic value, I don't even know why I would even need to point this out, but Moth sees it as a good excuse anyway. Content such as mixtapes is not news, and it just serves to shock the viewer. Like, since when has the news ever covered individual mixtapes? Earlier, I mentioned that Plagued Moth was banned multiple times from his Patreon. This was due to his distribution of gore reactions that were put onto the Patreon exclusive Discord server. But if you ask Plagued Moth why he was taken off Patreon, he would tell you that it was because Patreon is trying to deplatform a queer creator, and that they're a CP profiting scumbag website. But that's not why he was banned. This Discord server is a massive part of Moth's wrongdoings, and the funniest part about this server is the really awful cover-ups that he tries to do, mostly just to try and prove some people on the internet wrong, only to get it thrown back in his face after someone started screenshotting all the shit he was doing. Once Moth caught wind of the anonymous leaker, he decided that the best course of action would to be impulsively ban anyone he saw as suspicious. While most of what was leaked featured Plagued Moth breaking down over the mildest critiques, there were a few more damning screenshots, where he says 2 detractors of his are attempting to have his children killed. Or another one, where he admits to accidentally watching Daisy's Destruction. For context, Daisy's Destruction is an infamous child sadism video created by Peter Scully, an Australian-born paedophile who is currently living the rest of his life in a Philippines prison. So, I kind of have to ask, how does one accidentally watch child porn? In the screenshot, Moth claims that he saw the ill-famed video a few years ago on 4chan. Keeping in mind, 4chan uses WebM, so it's not like the video auto-played and he got a child porn jump scare. The guy had to consciously click a link in order to unknowingly see this illegal video. To be charitable though, maybe the fabled video was interspersed with another video, but another question crops up as to how he knew what the video was. Moth claims that people have tipped him off about Daisy's Destruction and its contents, which would confirm that Moth is more likely in contact with degenerates who actively consume illegal content. Considering the subject matters that Moth covers on his channel, you would have to wonder what kind of material he has exposed himself to behind closed doors. I mentioned prior that he's discussed Amber Alert as well as La Barbie, the Guerra flaying, and many more. When Moth was caught admitting to seeing the most notorious child sexual exploitation video on the internet, he's since deleted his confession and wiped the Discord text channel that it was resided in, with this being one of the many pathetic cover-ups that Moth has attempted. Another one of these cover-ups has been attempting to discredit his detractors and critics, specifically me, where he offhandedly claimed that I was a user going by the name of Soldier Sam. And for even more context, Sam is an alleged groomer who was in Plagued Moth's community before being outed. Moth has also attempted to vilify TCR, or ThatCreepyReading, another YouTuber who has come out to criticize Moth. This vilification comes from Moth's claims that TCR's criticisms is taking food out of his kids' mouths. As of editing this, Moth has made a slanderous video on TCR, claiming that he's a false striker, a manipulator, and a pedophile. I'll be using clips of an unused second channel video to display and disprove the points that Moth has made.
I'll begrudgingly making this video because I think it's about time I address some of the horrendous accusations and lies that have been levied against me by none other than the content creator ThatCreepyReading.
Off to a great start here, man. None of what has been said by me, TCR, and any actual trusted person who isn't a spurg saying shit just to get a reaction is wrong or slanderous. This is an awful way to start a video debunking claims about you.
This broke out, I want to say, in March of this year, where he flipped his script and started harassing me on Twitter once my Patreon was taken down.
I don't say that calling someone out for, among other things, putting uncensored gore reactions on Patreon exclusive Discord server is harassment, but yeah, I guess.
No, at the time, I didn't know that he was responsible until he took sole responsibility and took to the moral high ground.
This isn't the moral high ground, you just make dog shit videos.
I inevitably ended up blocking him after some time and basically just trying to explain myself as he took out of context screenshot out of a Discord and really just tried to make a mess of things and smear me as a pedophile.
DCR has never once claimed you're a fucking pedophile. Get a grip, lad. Also, none of what has been posted against you has been out of context.
As a direct result of this, I lost my Patreon page despite him not actually providing evidence of his claims, which were me selling gore and child porn.
No, he didn't. You show absolutely no proof of this, and you know why. Because everything you say is an utter lie. What Creepy actually did was send a report to the Patreon staff due to your page kind of a little bit breaking TOS.
But yeah, no, I don't think he sells child porn. I never said that he did. That I was telling people that he's selling CP, that I'm like going after his family, that I keep attacking him. We'll go into that later, but the main thing is that I never said that he's selling CP. Here's what I said. I believe in the Amber Alert video, he admits to either, I don't remember the exact wording, but he either admits to knowing someone who watched this snuff film, or he watched it himself. I don't remember which he said. I believe he said that he got it from some guy on the deep web,
not even
and
a
then
snuff
proceeds to
film,
describe
but
what's like
no.
in it, right? And I said that on his Patreon reward stuff,
Gaslighting. Do you see this shit? This is interesting because he is trying to basically put the idea in your head that, well, I didn't say it, but it's part of the perks. It's like, anybody who's watched my videos, the 2 videos I've made on Amber Alert, by the way, including a full documentary, I've never explained that I got Daisy's destruction. In fact, I have disclaimers at the start of every video I make that claims I never touch or view illegal material. So this claim, again, he is saying that I am selling the mixtapes, I'm selling child porn. That is what he is saying, just in a different way, and he's trying to manipulate people into believing he's not saying that.
Just utterly wrong, and also here's proof of you saying that you've watched Daisy's Destruction a bit, so kill yourself.
It's just another weak way to try to insinuate that I'm a pedophile. Now, I mean, this is a really common thing, especially given the fact that he thinks I'm trans. That would explain a lot, but...
No, that doesn't really explain a lot. It explains absolutely nothing, really. It actually insinuates that you're trying to say that Creepy's a fucking bigot, and that he hates trans people, and immediately equates them to pedophiles, which is actually kind of fucked up on your part, because you're using that without no actual proof yet again. However, Moth's biggest cover-up was in relation to a super secret channel that he had in a Discord server. A while ago, when Moth first started his gore glorification grift, the Discord server was associated with his channel and was open for anyone up to join, up until Moth created a Patreon, where one of the perks was to be given access to his server. Since Moth realized that his brand as an online creator was based around him exploiting incredibly controversial subject matters, he decided to create a text channel where links to gore would be shared to his Patreon, until it was deleted earlier this year. The catalyst for this deletion was people criticizing Moth for breaking both Patreon and Discord's rules, since posting gore is understandably a violation of TOS. In response to this, Moth would delete the Discord channel and subsequently fire up a livestream to debunk these allegations. This stream, however, wouldn't disprove anything at all. It actually showed how bad Moth is at defending himself, demonstrating to his detractors that he would lie to make TCR look bad. Not only that, but the claims that he had made against TCR saying that he submitted false reports to his Patreon to get taken down isn't true at all. What TCR actually did was submit a report to Patreon support, which was then handled by the Patreon staff themselves, leading to the deletion of Moth's Patreon. Yet, for some reason, it was later reinstated by the Patreon themselves, with Moth choosing to delete the Patreon on his own accord. The reasoning behind this is incredibly ambiguous. However, I theorize that Moth did this to be perceived as more impoverished. But you might be asking yourself, why does Plagued Moth pretend to be poor? Well, with Moth's appetite for views and attention, it's no surprise that he would use what audience he has to shill his needless expenses. Take this one example recently, where he started begging his audience for a new light bulb. I know that this has been brought up before, but Moth's previous bragging about making 10k off of YouTube is another example of his dishonest nature. This leads me to believe that he's either A, lying about being poor to get more money, lying about being rich to seem like he makes more money, or C, he's perfectly well off and neither are true. I'm more inclined to believe the latter though, based on not only Moth's ability to lie in situations, constant posts about not being able to afford food or useless items, and the amount of pay sites that he's made to get his hands on some top dollar. But if Moth truly wanted to make money, he would have kept his Patreon up no matter if it kept getting in trouble. I mean, he fought so hard to get it back up. Why would he just let that go to waste? Claiming the critics of both his Patreon and Discord are all clout goblins, I don't think that it would detract Moth from deleting it. So, what's Moth's end goal? This all has to be for some big reason, right? He can't just be some paranoid, gore-straying weirdo. What is the problem with Plagued Moth? Well, that's simple. Plagued Moth is undoubtedly YouTuber's most disturbing creator, whether that being his exploitative coverage of sensitive topics or his dishonesty to secure his empire of degeneracy. Either way, the guy possesses many undesirable characteristics. However, I've only scratched the surface of the Plagued Moth iceberg, and if you desire some more in-depth coverage, I'd recommend Lazy Bedhead's video. Normally, I class myself as anti-deplatforming, unless you've been convicted of a crime or partaken in the deplatforming of others. With Plagued Moth, I wouldn't actively advocate for his deplatforming, but if he were to be banned from YouTube, I wouldn't necessarily be against their decision, since Moth's content violates YouTube's guidelines, and his ban wouldn't contradict freedom of speech or expression. But with that being said, I've been Spinnling, and thanks for watching.